Hi, Meghna. Thank you so much for joining us on Blitz Business. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hi, Ashish. It's like pleasure is entirely mine. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Let's get started. So, Meghna, first tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've not answered this question in a very long time. So, so do you tell me about yourself? How? I mean, if you could just elaborate a little further. My background, where I come from, and all. Where did I grow up?
Your background, yeah. What led you to where you currently co-founded your current company?
Okay, so
So,
it's a little long story, so you have to have a little patience. Okay, so I
sure.
born and brought up in Alwar. It's now not such a small town, but yeah, that time it was very small. It's a small town in Rajasthan. I'm born and brought up there, and my parents they both we have a large family. My both set of parents have like 12 brothers and sisters, right? And my parents are like the youngest. Okay, so it's a large family. Everybody is not, it's kind of nuclear family, but yeah, we're all in the same city and it's a small town, right? So we grew up like that, and typical Agarwal family, the business class family as we may call it. But when I was like really young, probably in fourth or fifth standard, so we had a very two unfortunate incidents back to back in our family. My father's sister, like my bua, two of my real bua, they got widowed very early in life, like probably 24, 25. And that time, they used to get early, they used to get married early, so they'll have kids. And it was like back to back in a span of like less than a year. So that kind of a huge blow. And my dad, from there, he was very clear, no matter wherever you get married to, but you have to be financially stable. Because we could see what happened with my, so they're fine, but just because they were not financially stable, the kind of hardships they had to go through. So I think so. From the beginning, it was literally etched and inculcated that you have to be financially stable no matter wherever you marry. But it was not like you have to be an entrepreneur or you have to be in a job, but it's just the financial stability. How will you achieve it? That was not clear. So that path was not clear, but the end goal was clear. And again, being a small town, those days there were not many DVDs, right? I mean, they will have those cassette, the black color cassette and all, and very few English movies used to come and reach Albert. So uh, I think there's some issue in communicate. It's fine, right? You can hear me out, right, Ashish? Because it says communicating with the servers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So,
Yeah, sure.
so
No problem. You
yeah.
can continue. Yeah.
Okay. So there was this movie called Michael Douglas movie Wall Street, right? And that time I saw it, and we were like quite kicked about it, fascinated with all the adrenaline rush on the trading floors and everything. And that was like, okay, let's. I want to be iBanker. So it's very as dreamy as it could get, without. So those were the two things which kind of became in my, that kind of memory I have. And so I was all throughout my studies was did my core finance. So they were things like company secretary, which you do it through the foundation. Then I did my MBA in core finance. So everything was finance to become an iBanker. But I passed out in the wonderful time of 2001, when you had these September 11 attack. Everything was in shambles. Everything was down. Forget about the financial market, the whole economy was down. So I did have one or two offers, not very lucrative. And that time I met now my husband Rishi. He passed it from IT. He was already had his own company. He was toying up with more ideas, and we started talking. And and he had some ideas. We started discussing. I researched about the idea. That was my first company called Hire Pro Consulting, and I thought there's a market for it, and there's nothing to lose. I mean, what will I do? I mean, because there was no extra baggage I was coming with. Max to max, if worse to worse, if it doesn't work, I can go back to my job market. So I was like, "Okay, let it give it a try." So it was lack of opportunity that time because of the market situation, and there was nothing very exciting any which ways. I thought, let's me jump onto the bandwagon because there's nothing to lose. And that's what kind of made me start my entrepreneur journey. And that is why I always say I'm entrepreneur by accident, but not by choice.
Wonderful. Very fascinating. So, how did the IndiQube idea sort of came about?
IndiQube is my third company. Okay. so so again, there's a little bit of background. So I did Hypro Consulting, and we were working with the Texas Instrument, Juniper, Cisco. In fact, Texas Instrument even coined a one award to give it to us. They've never had any award for their partners. They specially kind of developed this and created this to award us. So we were like really doing very well. But Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani, I got pregnant after marriage. So that's ugly. And both my pregnancies were very tough. So I had to kind of pause it. I have to take it a little slow. And then that time, it was about 2008 or 9. My dad was diagnosed with throat cancer, and we are three sisters. I'm the oldest one, uh, no brother, and my dad got into this emotional, spiral. No, I will sell off everything. I don't have a son. Nothing. And he was like all this, like, hello, hold on to it. Let me try. Let me give it a shot here first in South India, and then we'll see. And by the time in parallel, we'll get your, medication done. So we put our own money. We started our own factory in Hosur. So this factory was in manufacturing powder, limestone powder. And for this limestone powder, we have to import limestone from Malaysia and Vietnam. So we used to import it, and so it was fine, and it went well. Then we started second factory. Then I took up my dad's the north plant also, and pan India we were supplying. And this powder use has many applications, like in paints or PVC pipes, master batches and all. So we were doing all that nicely, and in parallel my dad was also getting well. But during that journey I realized that uh, there's so much you can grow in this business, because the manufacturing rules set up in India was not conducive. The government, I mean, if I have to import the powder, the finished product was cheaper than if I manufacture here. Plus, second, I do not have any control on the raw material. Because of the environmental challenges, the limestone was banned in India. So I had to import my limestone from somewhere else. So there's no control on the raw material, because it's a commodity. Because of the few pricing differentiation, the loyalties of the customers would change. And so-called competition of mine was 100-year-old, 200-year-old companies who will own mines, who will have control on the pricing, will have control on the production, the volume, and the raw material, right? So much you could do it. So any which ways, I was planning to come back to the real corporate world, which I'm kind of used to it. And that time when I want to come back to Hypro, so my other two companies, we were looking for a space of 50,000 square feet, but we ended up taking about 80-90,000 square feet, because we couldn't get out exactly 50,000 square feet. And we work with a lot of startups. We work with a lot of offshore development center. We took this building in about 2013 or something. And from the beginning, even in Hypro days, we have always provided food, transport, gym to all our employees, from the beginning. So when we started, did this, so we subleased, the balance area of about 30-40,000 to those companies which you're working with. And they were like 30-40 employee company, and gradually they kind of tagged along on our services. Like they said, can we use your gym, can we use your transport, can we use your food, everything. And when we were growing in 2014 and we asked them to move out of a building, they started crying. They were so reluctant. They were like, hey, can you manage it for us? We do not have the know-how. We are too small to manage this kind of operations. Can you do something about it? And out of, I would say, just because we had a few queries and all who was in our building, just about 500 meters from our existing building, we took a next building which was 3 lakh square feet, total out of ignorance. And to our surprise, in less than 6 months, 3 lakh square feet we were able to lease out. And we thought, wow, what is this? What is this market all about? So that kind of pushed us into delve into further into this area. And then we realized that there's a huge gap. So either you have all these tech parks of the world, right? Or you have these smaller residential areas with these smaller companies which will operate out of houses. The bungalows would be converted into the office. So that mid-market segment was completely missing. Plus, everything was on demand. The taxis or the furnitures, everything was on demand. Even relationship these days are on demand. So why not real estate? The real estate would also work on demand, right? So those concept. So we were changing to the on-demand economy any which ways. So we knew that real estate would also come into the on-demand thing. So because of all those consumer behavior changes, we officially kind of started IndiQube in 2000.
So did you see any impact of WeWork entering into India on your business, or how was it when WeWork started out?
Okay. So WeWork, first, we've never heard of WeWork till 2017. So 2015 we started off. For 2 years we never heard of WeWork. Okay, let me be honest with you. I heard WeWork when I was in New York, Manhattan, and then I went even have a look at the office. So WeWork, I have to give it to them that they really helped to build the brand of the space, right? I mean, regions of the world have been there since time immemorial, right? But the way WeWork kind of built the brand, they kind of literally looked at changing the pattern. Adam has definitely made a huge brand out of it. So it was easier for us, because the market existed, and then you have such a global brand or a player coming to India. It helped us, because then I do not have to do the educating the client, because my first work was to educate the client. There's some concept like managed office spaces. There's something like per square feet model. There's something like per seat model. You can take it up. You just have to come with your laptop. Everything else would be taken care of. Any which ways, it was a very new concept for all the corporates here. So when we were kind of grew the way it grew, it kind of helped us to kind of reinforce that this is the way exactly the real estate thing has to be consumed in future. But we all knew that WeWork is the product of a developed country, and IndiQube is a product of a developing country, right? Because instead of the free beer, the people in India would need free food. Not free food, I would say subsidized food or subsidized transport. We are not the economy of the free beer or free salads, right? So those services has to be as compared. So those services has to be very India specific. What Indian company would want it. Then I cannot have an open environment system. Because every other company, the employees would be poached if they sit in an open environment hot desking system, right? So those services have to be built in as per India model. So I always say it's a developed economy market, as a developing country. So, but in terms of brand, in terms of creating awareness, I think it kind of helped us positively.
So what is your model? You take a long-term lease and then sort of sublease the properties, right?
Yes. So we take a long-term lease. Average lock-in, like long-term lease is not lock-in, I would say, is about 20 years. It's about 10 plus 10 years. And so for us, like I'll tell you, the experience is important. The employee is the hero of the story in our model. So, and the experience starts from the parking. When you start from the parking and go, how do you park your car? Is the space clean? Are you getting the right space? So the control of the building is very, very important. So I mean, it's not like if I operate on the floor, then I cannot control the rest of the other external environments. So long lease is very important for us. The control of the whole asset is very, very important for us. And we take long term leases, because that's how you kind of build it up, because you have to redesign a product looking at the long term vision. So yes, it's a long-term leases.
And Meghna, is it a at unit level, is it a profitable business in terms of, because we saw a lot of negative story around WeWork, they burning cash through their nose, crazy amount of losses. So what has your experience in this space so far? Like, is it a profitable? If yes, then what is your break even comes at? Like per seat, or what do you need?
Actually, the thing is, if you ask me today, every startup is running a loss making business, right? I mean, why we are sidelining, I really do not understand just real estate. Okay, if you look at edtech, fintech, e-commerce, every company is burning money, right? So I think it is very wrong for us to just single out the real estate market, right? And WeWork was definitely burning money, the kind of growth trajectory they were on. So I'm not defending them, but there was certain growth trajectory which definitely went wrong, because when you are playing an existential game of burning money, these are the problems which you faces. But in what happens, the difference between an e-commerce or ed tech, in real estate, it's a real money, because when you're taking the building, it's a long-term leases, and the rent is real. You can write off rent for 1 month, 2 months, but you cannot write off rent for 10 years, 20 years, right? So it was a real money. Can it be run profitably? Sure. I mean, like, look, I'm a typical Agarwal, I mean, if I cannot touch my catch, no, I do not get into that business. For me, evaluation money is the money in the mirror. You see it, you can't touch it. I don't like it. For me to to call it mine, I want to like to touch the money. We knew it is profitable, and we started. So IndiQube has been profitable since the beginning. EBITDA positive from the beginning, and this being the third, my other two ventures were also profitable from the beginning. And currently, in fact, we are PAT positive. So for the last 2 years, I've been PAT positive. So I've been positive throughout. So can it be run positively? To your answer, 200% yes. And every business is run on that ethos that eventually it will be positive, right? Otherwise, the whole idea gets lost. For how long you can actually keep funding it through the VC's money or the P's money, right? Eventually, the business has to make sense to grow and to sustain. So yeah, so IndiQube has been profitable. The break-even point for
So
us
Meghna,
is about
did you guys raise any capital for this?
yeah. So just to answer, so we are break even at about 55% to 60% of occupancy of a building. We are break even, and we raised capital. The Westbridge is my investor. So they are my investor. They are the private equity guys. They have taken some stake in IndiQube. They came on board on 2018. Yeah. So, but that's all. So we just have one, and it's us. Yeah, majority is with the family. So we are actually very dilution sensitive family. So yeah. So yes, this is what it is.
I had an experience. So we were hunting for office in Delhi NCR for my other company, software company. And I'll tell you my experience. The rates were crazy. In Gurgaon, WeWork was charging 30,000 plus per seat. Then
Yeah.
we went to Noida side. It was like 5, 7, 8K per seat. Then
Yeah.
in Delhi, it was around 12-ish per seat. You know, I just couldn't understand, like
But
so much variation, like 30,000 per seat. Does it really
yes.
even make sense for a company? I mean, people were renting out. I mean, I'm not saying that, but
So Ashish, okay, so let me put it like this. So you do not have to think India as a full country or states. You have to divide into micro markets. So there are 60 micro markets, for example, and these micro markets we put it in green, yellow, and red zone. So green zone means no matter COVID happens, nothing will work, nothing will happen. That micro market would always be in demand. It's insulated from all the external factors. The yellow zones are something in which, if it will take a little time to develop and all, but the demand is there. And the red zone is no matter whatever you do, it would never flourish. So then you have to take a very very short term bets. Okay, so you have to divide these micro markets like that. So to your answer, to your question, to Noida, so Noida is a ghost market. Have you seen the amount of vacancy? It's more than 25%. The amount of buildings which are happening is mind boggling. So the vacancy is so high. That is only one of the micro market where the tech park rates is equivalent to a small offices opposite it. A tech park is always about 20-30% higher any of the micro market. Noida is the only market where the tech park rate is equivalent or probably lower than probably smaller office opposite it. So you can imagine this shows the how much vacant buildings are there and how much potential, because all you can see is land. Then second, the other thing which has changed now, the offices that used to, what historically used to happen, that talent used to go where the office is. But now offices are going where the talent is. Okay. So when it comes to Gurgaon, you're the talent. You have to see in terms of talent thing. Because why Bangalore is so popular? No matter, even if the traffic congestion is so much, people still want to. Because the depth of talent in Bangalore is unmatchable. So that is why people would come here, right? The kind of opportunities you will get here is unmatchable. Similarly, Gurgaon, what happens, the 30,000 scene is because of DLF, because every other parcel is taken by DLF. It's a huge tech park, they have built it up. And there's a certain efficiency and the sizes, and they dictate the market pricing, right? So because of the lack of space, it's a demand and supply game. It's more demand and less supply. That kind of you know change the pricing, that kind of decides the pricing methodology. Noida, I'll give
and
you
how
as low as
was?
four.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please go ahead. Yeah,
No, so Noida I can give you as long as low as 4,000, 5,000. But in Gurgaon, yes, so we have like couple of buildings we have taken in Golf Course Road, and my going price is about 15,000 per seat. So it's a demand and supply thing.
and how much the per square feet rate varies?
Again, it's on the acquisition, right? And which is transparent, which is aware. Like, for example, in a DLF, your acquisition of the building is almost like what, 150 to 170 rupees bare shell, right? In Bangalore, in Outer Ring Road, you would have something about 90 rupees to 100 rupees. Rest of the things, if you ask me, Ashish, is kind of similar, right? How much interior cost would change depending on the micro? Nothing, not much. The service would remain the same. So it's an acquisition cost which kind of makes the difference. And every micro market works differently. If you ask me,
Understood.
Bangalore is still extremely underpriced. I mean, a good tech park you can easily get in about 100 rupees. In Gurgaon you will not see anything. In Bombay, BKC is about 300-350 rupees per square feet. It's insane. Yeah, so it
So
all depends
Meghna,
on that.
tell us the story about fundraising. How did you got Westbridge onto your
Westbridge.
cap table?
Westbridge. So, okay, so we have no idea about the fundraise. Okay, we were as naive as possible, although being it's not their first company, and but we've never done the fundraise for the other last two companies, so we were as naive. And but we had, but we're in Bangalore, right? I mean, for the last 20 years, so that has its own pros. You pretty much have seen all the startup community and all the VCs and everybody. Pretty much they grew with you, right? So you have met them socially, they know you, and because of the other work which we have done it, so we kind of quite familiar with them. And when we were in the market, so Norwest, Sumer, was already looking at this space, and we got in touch through some common friend, and he really liked the business, and that's how, and we were just discussing, nothing was happening, and then Sandeep Singhal, who's the partner at Westbridge, right? Private equity. He's my neighbor, and since we were just not aware, and as I said, we got innocent in all that thing. So we were just discussing, we are in the market for fundraise, and we are looking at this space like this, and the market will grow, the time is bigger, and it was an evening walk, and he said, "Hey, it looks interesting. Can we talk more?" And the next day we met him at the office. We talked more, and I think the third day he presented us a term sheet. So it was during the evening walk. I would say we got the
Wow.
term sheet. Yeah, yeah. So that's how it happened. Yeah,
Wow. That was seamless.
that was, I just said, it was, we were discussing, and we know people, it's not like I'm not a fresh out of college, and my other co-founder Rishi is also not fresh. His body of work is more than mine. He's always started career net and all, he being the co-founder of Hire Pro Consulting, so his body of work is more. Being from IIT has its own pros, right? So he would know everybody, batchmates, and all alumni. I kind of knew, and so yeah, so pretty much put together, we kind of know new people, and we were just discussing. And as I said, this industry is growing, this space is growing, right? And India is growing. So yeah, so Sandeep was he's quite upbeat about the whole thing. And I think within a week we got, not even week, yeah, 3-4 days we got the term sheet, and I think within a week we kind of signed it. Yeah. So it's and since then they are the only one who are on the board with us. We don't have any other investor as of now. We just have one angel investor from the beginning, is Ashish, who's a Helion venture guy, but he's more like a family. So he was the first one to cut the check for us.
Ashish Gupta, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Helion. Yeah, ex Helion guy. Yeah. So he's very close. So he was the one. Yeah.
I remember I remember pitching to Ashish Gupta in their Gurgaon office,
Oh, wow.
and
Cool.
it was a thorough, wonderful experience.
Oh, he's
Yes,
a wonderful gentleman. I mean, I've known him for almost like what, 15 years now. So I've known him for a very, very long time.
I remember. So I have met so many people, and Sanjeev we know because of my co-founder. Sanjeev was their boss, so that's how we
Oh,
got introduced, and we went to Ashish, and the kind of questions he asked. Oh my God, it's like no one has asked these questions before.
no, he's a wonderful, but he's a wonderful human being also. I mean, I think that is something which we always, you know, it should not be the benchmark, isn't it? It should be by default that, but the way now the whole world is, just being a good human being is a big asset, and so I would say he's a great human being also. Forget about, I mean, he's extremely intelligent, great VC,
Yes,
everything put together. Otherwise, he's a great human being, which should be the norm, but it's not the norm these days.
that's true. That's true. So I off the topics I was reading. So I have invited Sanjeev has come with here.
Okay,
Kanwaljit has come on
sure.
podcast. So I'm
Fire
trying
side,
to
yeah.
get all the previous Helion
On guys.
crop onto the podcast. So next I'm trying Rahul Chandra. I
Rahul,
read his
yes.
book recently. So yeah.
Arkham is with IndiQube actually.
Oh really?
Their office is with IndiQube. So we have quite a fund guys, VCs whose office are with us.
Oh that's nice. That's a good space to give to, and you can always go back to them if you need funding, right?
With all humility, we are too big for them right now. No,
Oh really?
actually,
How big
yeah.
are you? Give us a sense.
No, I mean, I'm $100 million revenue company, right? And with a PAT positive, almost like about 70-80 crores. Yeah. So I'll be like touching almost like 1,000 crores, right? So it's not
So do you plan to raise more capital?
it's not, do we plan to raise? I mean, look, equity money is a gold plated money, right? I mean, it's very expensive money, so you have to kind of really consume it very cautiously, judiciously. So that is very, very important. And we being from old school, both me and Rishi, we are very, very old school founders. So we believe in profitability. We believe in the basic fundamentals of running the business, and extremely dilution sensitive. So whether we are in the market for the fundraise, no. Actively looking for the capital, no. But if something comes through and interesting and all, then why not? but it is not at any cost. So growth at any cost or raising money at any cost, that is not the fundamental we're working on. That is why we're very particular about the profitability, because we do not want to end up in a situation where we burn so much of money and then we don't have a choice but to kind of go in the market and take whatever comes our way. So that is a situation we always wanted to avoid.
And what are your thoughts on debt?
Oh, debt is definitely, in fact, this is the kind of business which needs debt, and we can go as high as about 1.5 is to 1 ratio, right? So the project financing, you should never finance your projects through the equity money. I mean, that's the most silly thing to do, right? So that is the uh, I mean, it's a right, I would say, way to kind of raise money in this kind of in this space. And uh, and our CRISIL rating is about A, which is with a positive outlook, right? So the kind of interest rate and the kind of benefit we get it through debt raising is far much more better than we raise the money, because it's not the risk capital, right? I mean, you should raise equity when there's a risk capital involved, but I should not be raising equity to fund my interiors. That's the most silly thing to do. So fund my interiors, I should definitely raise debt about it, right? So one has to be clear and cognizant of that fact.
So have you currently raised any debt, or do you have any debt on your balance sheet?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, it would be silly for us. It's stupid, if we do not, if we start, financing my interiors through the equity money, right? So, I mean, that is definitely not happening. So we have raised debt, and it's a similar ratio, which are as per the SH, you're supposed to be very well in that ratio of debt and equity. Yes, but yes, we have raised debt from all these banks, the nationalized bank, and especially because of the CRISIL rating is with the A positive outlook, which usually is not there in our space. People would get B or B positive at max, and the moment people see it as A, it becomes easier for us.
Wonderful. So what is then the plan, Meghna, for you guys in next couple of years or so? What is the milestone then you're looking at? You've already cracked the 100 million mark. So what is that thing you're eyeing?
It's okay. It might sound as broad and bizarre, but the thing is, when we started off IndiQube, it was like it's an end-to-end workspace solutions. Okay, so we always had offering three offerings. So it was, one is plug and play. So now you call it plug and play, you can call co-working, you can call it managed, you call it shared, take the name as it is. That was the lowest hanging fruit, right? So, and people kind of, a lot of people they rode on this bandwagon. But the other two offerings we had always had was the interiors and the management, and third is the management. The second meaning, if a company is taking a space in some other area which is not in my building, so they'll say, hey Meghna, I have taken the space, I've done this deal with the landlord, can you do the interiors for me and can you manage it for me? Okay, because I really liked your model, I really liked your platform. And the C model is just, can you just manage it for me? So we usually sign up pan India deals. Like, so for example, there will be companies in which few micro market or few cities, they will be in my buildings, but in few micro markets I will be there in the building. But everything is done through a platform. So we have a common platform, we call it a MyCube and ServiCube, which gives a consistent experience. So sitting from any of the offices, from Ahmedabad or Delhi or Jaipur, you can actually see how many people are in your offices, what kind of tea they're drinking, what kind of food they're eating. So when people are entering into Jaipur office, vis-a-vis of people entering into Allahabad office, they should not feel that it's two different cities. They should have the similar experience. So it's the platform, is the experience, is the consistent experience which counts. So for us, that is the key part of it. So when it comes to growth, if you ask me, uh, India absorbed 40 million square feet of new real estate every year, minimum. Okay, 2021 was the biggest area, about 60 million, but usually on average they kind of absorb 40 million. Bangalore absorbs more commercial real estate than Shanghai. Okay, the Southeast Asian countries like your Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, they only absorb 4 million square feet all put together. So that is the kind of market India is all about. Okay, and the existing portfolio is about 600 to 700 million square feet. So you can imagine the TAM, you can imagine the addressable market is huge. I mean, like, Bangalore absorbing more than Shanghai, and all these three put together, the Southeast Asian, it is equivalent to a Delhi market. You can imagine the breadth and the depth of this market, right? And the sky's the limit. And the way we are growing, the India is growing, there's always a need for this office, right? There'll be need for the workspace solutions, everything. So I will not consider, we do not consider in terms of numbers. Numbers are okay, the milestone, it gives you boost, it helps you, right? But eventually idea is to build a brand. So anything to do with the workspace, IndiQube should be there. If we're doing a backward integration, we are coming with our own furnitures, office furnitures. We are getting into our own interiors, right? So we are coming with our own brands, so our brand should be a reflection of the good quality workspace solutions. Now, it could be anywhere. So that's the end-to-end workspace solutions, that the kind of the market, and that is what we want to build. Now, numbers are incidental to it, and as I said, that's kind of helpful. But the market is huge, and we've just started. We're not even 10-year-old company. We're just about 7-8-year-old company, which includes 2 year of COVID. So yeah, so that is the kind of, imagine the growth you have in this space.
But did the recent layoffs by these tech companies impacted you guys? I mean, they are firing left, right, and center, be from Microsoft, Google to Baiju's of the world.
Yeah, so honestly, what has happened, they have hired 2-3 times of the people, employees, as compared to the office space they have. So any which ways, the hiring number is more, not even like double, 3-4 times the whatever the office spaces they have. So I will not say that this not impacted, but there's a slowdown. The startup, any which ways, Ashish, we kind of knew. I mean, it was just the balloon was just about to burst. I think we all knew the kind of overvaluation which was happening. I think it was bound to happen. And we work with a lot of offshore development centers, GCCs. We'll work with a lot of Indian companies. Like for example, Air India. Air India, the entire South Air India office is with IndiQube. They've taken about 50,000 square feet. Okay. Like Ultratech, Mahindra Logistics. We work with, and in GCCs also, which are like $3 to $4 billion company, which are based out of US. So we have 40% of a portfolio, those kind of companies. Okay. So it does, in a macro level, definitely it slows down a little bit. But I think India as a country on a growth trajectory. I'm sure you must be listing everywhere. The most expert and the most intelligent people. I mean, I do not. I mean, at my level, I do not have to say this thing. If it's going to be $1 trillion industry, I think everybody is going to grow. So it's just a matter of it's a few bumps, here and there, right? But eventually, it's a high. So everybody, so the impact would be extremely minimalistic. I don't think so. The next 10 years, I strongly believe is India. 10 years, the opportunity, it's a land of opportunities, and everybody would make money next 10 years. I have strong belief in this. So, and these smaller,
Awesome, awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
just these smaller, like laying off and all, I think it's just a part, and this is going to be there. They'll not be very deeper troughs and all. These kind of small bumps will be there, and we just have to get used to it. I mean, I think these are the challenges which anybody would face it. I don't think so it is kind of really very unique to the whole. I think we just have to deal with it.
I think well said, Meghna. Um, Thank you so much for your time and insights. I really enjoyed talking to you. You know, you had a very fresh perspective.
Okay.
Anything you would like to share to our listeners? Something I may have missed?
Listeners share. No, I mean it's wonderful to be here. I hope it helps, and I think the best. Uh, as for my experience, I think the best career is right now is entrepreneurship. So and the way we all are growing, and so I think rather than and just build your business in the basic fundamentals, right? Be profitable. Your unit economics has to be right. If you're running a business the right fundamentals, then it's just a matter of when it just it you will grow, you will do very well. It's just a matter of time, so you just have to be a little bit patient. So that is about it. And my experience as a woman, I would say, for any woman, once you start an entrepreneur, then you need to be little consistent, because there are a lot of events in women's life. Your marriage or kids or aging parents would happen. You should not stop. I mean, like, take it a little slow, it's fine, but just be consistent with the efforts. And it sounds very simple, but then you have an ecosystem of cook or a nanny, all those things, smaller things, and communicate with your partner, everything would get aligned, right? I mean, because if you tell them what is your bigger objective in life, things would get aligned. You just have to be clear, you have to be honest with yourself. And I just hope that we see more women entrepreneurs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Meghna.
Thank you,
Uh,
Ashish.